So, GenCon is less than 2 weeks away. Is that right? Or is it 2 weeks away?
2 weeks away, exactly.
Yeah, if you don't count the trade day. Mm-hmm. If you count the normal people's day, it's 2 weeks away. So, we've got our preview. As you're listening to this, maybe you're on the drive up to GenCon listening. We're going to talk about some of the games coming out at GenCon. We try to keep it to games that you can actually purchase while you're there. There's a few that you won't be able to, or possibly maybe even some of these might not end up showing up. So we're going to start with Matt. What game do you have for us?
The first game I have is Greedy Kingdoms by AEG. This is one of their new line that might have started this past year with the Big in Japan tag they put on the front of the box. Which was along, I think last year was the game that Trump's a Trump.
Oh yeah,
whichever game that was.
Custom Heroes.
Yes, that was that has the Big in Japan tag on front of the box. So it's it's basically, I don't know a whole lot about it, but what they're saying is it's a secret unit deployment, set collection, and simultaneous action selection. So anytime you got all that stuff going on, sounds like a good time. So
yeah,
cool. Let's see what happens with it.
I may have skipped over this game, actually. I'll have to go back and check it out.
Yeah. I think it's the first game listed.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, for AEG? Or game totally?
Yeah, the first game totally.
It starts with A.
It starts with AEG.
Really? I thought the first game was mine. Hang on. We're gonna check it out.
So just a free face on this as well is we are looking at Eric Martin's, right? List?
Well... So you go to Board Game Geek
list,
and over to the right there is a GenCon 2018 preview button.
Right.
In the past, I don't know if he actually generated this or not, but in the past, Eric Martin actually had a geek list that he added all the games to it himself.
Oh, okay.
This one might have multiple contributors. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But it's like a site official thing now.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we're using.
So a lot of us are going to be going down this list. So we'll start with AEG and go down to the Z's.
Yep. The first game are Adam's Apples games. Mine came before it. It doesn't matter. Right. Eric, go ahead.
So the next thing for me is not really a game, but it is the bigger, geekier box. They had a big geeky box previously. This thing's pretty massive. So it sounds like if you sleeve your cards at this point, it's going to get kind of tight. So they came out with this bigger, geekier box. One good thing about this box, it does get you get a comprehensive rule book, so you don't have to.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, the past box didn't come with this, so this box is going to come with a rule book that has rules for everything in it,
and card clarifications from all the sets, dividers for everything.
So you don't have to put 10 rule books in one box,
which was really bad because the other box, like everything went to the top, like all the actual wall dividers touches the top of the box.
But you can't put your rule books in that. I actually kept one of my boxes and put my rule books in a separate box.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I put everything. I left one of the. I think I left the middle row like kind of clear as possible and just crammed it into there. Yeah. Well, I didn't put the original rule book in there.
Mm-hmm.
I just put the expansion rule books, which are smaller.
Oh, okay.
Because they include all the rules from the
base set.
Base set too.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'll get this, but maybe.
I got plenty of room in my last box, so
yeah.
Until I run out of room, I'm all right.
Like I said, they get my money every time they come out with one, whether I play it or not. So
fair enough. Well, the first game I've got on my list here is a game I talked about on our news section as a Kickstarter a little bit ago, and that is Sword Crafters by Adam's Apple Games LLC. And basically, it's a set collection game where you're collecting all these different tiles. They're different colors, they're different rune shapes, and I guess you got special abilities and such. But you're crafting a 3D sword out of them. And then basically, at the very end of it, you compare the length and all this other stuff. It's very, I guess, phallic. But,
oh, wow.
Yeah. You compare the length and you compare, like, your sets and, I guess, whoever has the most of something.
Girth. You're comparing girth.
Yeah. How big your girth is of your sword. But
rubbing swords.
It looks really fun. And the fact that you're actually crafting this 3D sword that you're going to be holding the whole time is just, it's silly, but it's winning me. It's winning me.
Right.
Yeah.
I won it.
I wouldn't mind checking it out.
Yeah. It's a 20 to 30 minute game. It's not super deep. It's not super hard. It's like I think you do like a bidding system to collect them. Yeah. each round players make one cut in a grid. You have this like grid of tiles on the ground. You make a cut, and then after separations, each player selects one of the groupings. So it's almost like a I split, you choose, kinda.
Right.
But you all kind of do like these slices in this grid, and then you take turns picking up, the different sections.
You slice it with your sword.
I guess you could pretend, yeah. Anyway, that is Sword Crafters.
My next game is Tiny Epic Zombies by Gamelin Games. You got zombies in the mall. They are implementing from Tiny Epic Quest, where the little meeples will hold chainsaws and different guns and stuff like that. Yeah, item meeples. I think what's interesting about this is also there's 5 different play modes. They have cooperative team play with game-controlled zombies. They got cooperative team play with zombies controlled by a non-team member. They have competitive free-for-all with game-controlled zombies, competitive free-for-all with zombie controlled by a player, and solo. And I think you can be turned into zombies. I might have read that somewhere. If your person dies, you might go zombie on other players. So,
I'm kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah, so nothing can go wrong in a mall full of zombies. So
cool. Eric, what you got?
Oh, I got another AG smash up. Oops, you did it again. So this one has Vikings, Cowboys, Samurais, and Egyptians. No Britney Spears is what I was looking for.
That's what you would think. Maybe that'll be like a hidden one, because I know the one they had a fifth faction they didn't advertise.
Oh, really?
In the first, you did it?
No. There was one, I can't remember, but it came with a Sharknado that wasn't advertised as one of the 4 included in the box. It was a secret set they put in there.
All right, I want to see some Britney Spears in here.
The secret of this one should be a Divas faction, where it has like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
Right.
All the
Mouseketeers.
Yeah, all the Mouseketeers.
But yeah, that's it.
What factions, Eric? You didn't even...
I did. Vikings, Cowboys, Samurais, and Egyptians.
I totally missed that incredibly, yeah. So the second game I got here is Lost Cities Revive. Man, why don't I just butcher every bit of this? Lost Cities Rivals. Essentially, it's very, very similar gameplay to playing a 4-player version of Lost Cities. I mean, obviously, it's got a little bit of differences, but there's not much to say. I mean, I
always thought, why didn't they come out with a 4-player version? Because I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah.
So
it says on your turn, you can either reveal the top card of the current pile, adding it to the display, or auction the cards on display. In the auction, you must raise or pass.
That's a little different.
It's got a little bit different stuff. I guess I didn't read too deep into this. It's got coins and everything.
It's got a long write-up on it too, so...
Oh, does it?
I thought so.
Oh, like on the description page?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I just assumed it was very close to Lost Cities. It does say that it has a lot of similarities to Lost Cities, but it does add a little bit more, obviously. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm looking forward to picking this one up.
Yeah.
My next game is called Haunt the House. It's by Kids Talk BG. Essentially, you play as Ghost, and I guess you live in a haunted house, and ghost hunters are coming into your house, and you're trying to scare them away. There's two ways you do this. I think you put cards down, and everybody reveals them at once, or there's a boo action. I don't remember exactly what that was.
Boo action?
Yeah, a boo action.
Nice.
But I think there's a little bit of bluffing with the cards you lay down, because everybody reveals it once, and you might not be quite doing what everyone thought you would have been. So, I don't know. Sounds fun. I like being Ghost.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. Another game I have is it's called War Chest. Now, and it's coming out at GenCon.
This is AG again?
It is AG. So it's coming out at GenCon. There is absolutely like no pictures out on this game. There is like a draft of it. So at this point, with it coming out so soon, I would imagine there's more out there about it. But it sounds pretty like up your alley, Tim, because it's drafting, bag building.
Yeah.
So you get these little tokens, and you're fighting and you're maneuvering your guys around. And each token, from what I see, it has a couple of different things you can use. You can you put it down or use it to, I think, move around your guys.
Huh.
So yeah, kind of want to check it out.
War Chest. Tells me nothing about their game, though. I don't know about that name.
I'm pretty sure it's a chest as well. So I'm not sure about the box.
It should be a treasure chest.
I thought it kind of looks like a chest. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Next game I have is Shadows Amsterdam. This is coming out by Lubelude. I don't know how to pronounce that, but the same people did, I think, Seasons.
Oh.
Yeah, Seasons and Zidit.
Should be a pretty game.
Yeah, this might be totally up Eric's alley. I'm assuming maybe Matt. It's a cross between Codenames and Dixit. It's really weird. Check this out.
So Codenames pictures.
No, it's totally different. So you have this hexagon that's made up of hexagons. Essentially, think of it as each side has 4. So it's a bunch of hexagons. It's like a map.
Mm-hmm.
But each hexagon is a picture of a scene or maybe that location or whatever. Like one, for instance, has a bed. It looks like it's a bed in a jail cell and it has a guy laying there. The whole point of the game is you play teams. Each team has not really a question master, but they have a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And that player is going to, the team starts off in the middle of the hexagon, the middle of this field of hexes, right? And you're trying to get your team to move it around to land on certain spaces because as the leader, you have this thing that kind of looks like code names, like the code master little sheet thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It shows you a map of the table and it has a bunch of X's on some of the hexagons and a bunch of green spaces for the other hexagons. You're trying to get your team to land on so many of these green hexes because that's where the clues are. I guess it's like a mystery, kind of solve the murder. I don't know what it is, but you're trying to avoid. Well, you're trying to avoid the X's because they are the police. I think they're bad. You don't want to land on them.
Yeah.
If you get so many of those, you lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get so many of the clues, then you got to make it on the exit space, which again, only your team leader knows where it's at. So only the team leader knows where all 3 of these types of things are.
And it's all on these that board of hexes.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the hexes are just blanks. The way that it actually moves, though, is kind of interesting because there's a tableau of cards, hex-looking cards out on the table, and they all have all these different pictures on it. And so say I'm the code leader and you 2 are my team, and I want you all to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces, I'm going to hand you I'm going to hand you a card from that tableau equal to the number of spaces I want you to move. So if I want you all to move 2 spaces, I'm going to take 2 of those tiles and hand them to you. I can't say anything else. But it's kind of like Dixit because you look at these cards and you're like, he wants us to move 2 spaces from this space we're on, which, will literally give you a whole lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to match what is going on in the 2 tiles I handed you and pick the right tile to land on. So you might be like, well, this one has a window and so does this one. There's a window on both of these pictures, and there's only 3 tiles that have windows. So maybe he's handing us these to move on one of those 3 tiles, but which one? So then you start looking at the pictures a little bit more in detail, like, oh, there's a lot of blue on these, and there's only one of these 3 spaces that has blue.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you have to deduce this how you will, and then move on to that space. And I either put an X on you or give you a clue. Or it's a blank space and nothing happens.
Right.
Then it's the other player's turn to go. You go back and forth until one team has either gotten too many X's or one team finds all the clues and then gets onto the exit space and they win.
Interesting.
I know. I was like, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is being the clue giver, so to speak, sounds boring. Because you don't discuss. It's not like in code names where you're trying to think of what to say. You're literally just looking at the tableau of tiles that are out there. I think there's only 5 or 6, and you're handing those off to somebody.
It's kind of like doing the same thing with Mysterium. You're not talking. You are the person giving out these visions, or
yeah, that's true.
You're trying to. You're playing through placing those tiles in front of your teammates.
What I thought was interesting too is if the smaller amount of distance you want to go, the easier it is to move. Because if you're only going to move 1 space, the max you can have is 6 spaces around you. So I hand you 1 tile, and you only have to really come up with one thing that matches.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a lot easier to move 1 space, but if I give you 2 tiles, you got a lot of options to pick from.
Right.
So anyway, that's Shadows Amsterdam.
Interesting.
Next game series I'll bring up is the exit games from Cosmos. I enjoy them a lot. I've played them with the family a lot. They are a different feel versus the unlock games. One being is usually most of the time when you play them, they're done because you destroy components and such. But if you enjoy escape rooms, they have more of a escape room feel to them, I believe, versus the unlock games. But the two that they have listed is Dead Man on the Orient Express and Sunken Treasure. But I thought there was a third one because they tend to bring them out in threes. And they usually have pretty good deals at conventions to, I think, like get all three for 15 or something like that. So if you're a fan of these kind of games, I recommend picking it up at the convention.
Cool.
Awesome. For me, I picked out Rice Dice. Don't particularly like the name as much, but it comes from a pretty good game.
Couldn't they call it Spirit of the Rice Paddy Dice Game?
Yeah, that'd probably been better.
Spirit of the Dice Paddy.
There you go.
There you go.
But it's a streamlined version of Spirits of the Rice Paddy. It's not going to be available for sale, but you can demo it while you're there. I like the game. These two guys, I don't know.
I want to try and enjoy my convention, and I hate life when I'm playing a game.
But it is a streamlined version, so I think maybe if
it wouldn't be as punishing, I guess.
Right. So
I'm all about dice games. I don't know. I would assume that it has a little bit of luck and like randomness to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
just because of the dice aspect of it.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be a different feel and gameplay, even though it might be similar. But I think it's probably gonna be fun.
Running through the rules and running through what you're doing, you're basically doing like everything you're doing in the base game. So,
yeah. But you're rolling dice.
So it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm always interested in the dice versions because surprisingly they translate fairly well.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially like Nations, the dice game.
No, that's what I'm saying. Most of the ones that we've played have pretty much been like, do you want to play the full 4-hour version or you want to play it?
You want to play the quick version?
Play the quick version.
Yeah. Well, cool. The game I've got next is Remnants, coming out by Fireside Games. Basically, it is a post-apocalyptic game where you're going to take your different little survivor dudes and put them out into the Badlands or even in the far-off lands. I don't know what they're called. There's a really bad lands. There's like closer Badlands, farther away Badlands. But you're going to put guys out there, and then an event card comes out. It might kill some of them. It might do certain things or whatever. But then the game turns into this real-time game where you're rolling dice and trying to get 3 of a kind of a symbol. And so you got 6-sided dice. You're trying to collect one of the different resources. So you got to roll 3 of a kind. And I guess depending on the player count, I don't remember that part, but you put out so many of each resource in the middle of the table. And as you're rolling, if you get 3 of a kind of like plastic, for instance, which is one of the resources, you're going to grab one of those tokens and put it on one of your guys that is still alive in the Badlands, and you keep going. And eventually, you can grab these bonus tokens. Once you grab a bonus token, you're done. You have to roll 3 stars to do that. But the bonus token will, I guess it might be victory points or something, but you grab the bonus token, and there's always one less than the number of players. So at the end of, like, say we're playing 4 players, once the 3rd player grabs their bonus token, it stops. So it doesn't matter what the 4th player is doing, it just stops. And then you use all those resources to buy. There's like tableau of stuff that you can buy, like weapons and crap. And basically you're building up your city. So after so many rounds, you actually fight a big boss. And the boss is like roll dice against him and try to get a value or higher or whatever. But you're trying to kill all those weapons throughout the or trying to buy weapons from collecting resources from the scavenging real-time phase to be able to get powerful enough to fend off this boss coming into your base. But each round, like, guys are going to attack your base. And there's sometimes guys that might have like special abilities, like they might come in with gliders. So like if you've collected walls and stuff like that for your base, they can soar over top of it, you know. So you kind of, I don't know how you can plan for that, but basically I just like the real-time aspect of it. It sounded really fun.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, what you got, Matt?
My next game is called Root. It will be by Leader Games, the same people who did Vast. Crystal Caverns? Is that right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Vast the Crystal Caverns.
So it's the same feel. It's an asymmetrical game. Nobody plays the cave, so to speak, though. I think the board is pretty much static, and you move around on it, but you've got different tribes. I think the woodlands are being overran by cats or something like that. So everybody bands together, and it's other animals and critters and stuff like that trying to fend off the cats from taking over the woodlands. But so
kind of reminds me of the setting for what's that game that Plaid Hat has? Mice and Mystics.
Mice and Mystics.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. They might even have an expansion. I know the base game goes to 4 players.
Actually, I believe it is coming out at the same time. Yes.
Which that's kind of weird. I don't like.
Well, the difference is like pick Vast the Crystal Cavern, right? It comes with a lot of stuff. It's an expensive game. So if this comes with a lot of components and a lot of quality components, they can cut the cost a little bit by lowering the player count.
Okay.
And
that
adding
makes
as
sense,
a
I guess.
separate.
Yeah. And you got a full game at that. If you want more,
Right.
add the expansion.
I mean, not every game is bad. Some people think adding more players makes the game bad, but if it was designed in the mind with playing, 3 to 5 players or 3 to 6 players, but you only sell it as a 4-player game and then come out with a +2 expansion, like I think it's more attainable because the people who know they're not going to play it with 5 and 6, they don't need to buy that.
Yeah.
But, if it's an $80 game with both of them together, it's better to pay $50 or $60 and then add $20 later on if you want to add more players.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, for me, my next game is from Arcane Wonders. It's called Good Critters. It's a voting, bluffing, negotiation animal game. It's Animal Mafia, basically. And so you're one person's going to be like the boss mafia guy. He's going to divvy up the loot and give it out to the other critters. And they kind of decide, I'm not sure on how they decide it, because there's not too much information out that I've seen. But they decide if they're going to accept that, spread from the mafia boss, or they're going to overthrow him and get a new boss in. So it sounded cool. The artwork's nice, so looking forward to trying it out.
Cool. Next game I've got, we have talked about because we played it at Origins. It's Gizmos by Simon. I guess we should stop calling them Cool Mini or not, but
they'll always be Cool Mini or not in my eyes,
right?
Yeah,
just like it's music television. Anyway, so Gizmos is basically a engine building game similar to Splendor, where you have this big vat of marbles that spews out a line of 6 of them, and you're going to use your actions to collect those marbles to buy new cards. Once you got new cards, it's going to allow you to do options such as if you pick up a red marble, you could do something else. If you pick up a black marble, you get to do this. So you build this engine in order to just collect all kinds of marbles and do all kinds of things. You play until somebody gets a certain amount of victory points, and then they win. It was super fun. This might be the one game on my list that I beeline it for on Thursday.
Must purchase game?
Maybe, yeah.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I think this might be, because I expect them to sell out of it at the convention, and I want a copy.
Yeah.
So it might be my Thursday sprint or fast walk.
Yeah, fast walk. Walk in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
My next game is Century Eastern Wonders. This game is by Plan B Games also. It's already getting a lot of buzz. I think it did fairly well already at Origins with the limited amount they had. But this, I believe, is the official release. We really enjoyed the first Century game, so we'll see what he does with this one. And I'm sure there'll be a Golem edition to follow at some point. But
yeah.
For me, is Bezier Games is coming out with Ultimate Werewolf Legacy. So it's a legacy version of the Ultimate Werewolf. It comes with like an 80-page diary. You're playing through 5 chapters. Each chapter has 3 game sessions in it, and then they also have an introductory game.
Did you say one night?
No, it's not a one night.
Okay, I was gonna say it's not a one night, right?
Right. So it's just a legacy style game. So it sounds interesting. I know we've kind of moved past it, just a regular werewolf, but it might be enticing enough to get back into it to maybe try out the legacy version.
Oh no, I definitely want to try this out.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this is gonna play like normal werewolf at all.
Right.
It might the first day or the first, play day or whatever it is called in the game.
Yeah.
But then past that, I think it's going to dramatically change.
Oh, yeah. And then It sounds like it's similar where there can be a moderator, but I think I read something where you can do it where the moderator plays as well. So I'm not sure on how that works out, but I think that is an option.
I think the only bad thing with this game is it sounds like you're going to want to have a lot of people and play it with a lot of people each time. Because Werewolf is definitely a game where you want to have...
And you can... It is probably better keeping the same players, but it said you can, remove players, add new players, but it's probably best if you kind of run with the same crowd.
I'm going to say it probably is too, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Are you going to beeline it for this one?
Oh, no. I mean, it's on my want list, but it's not on the must-have list.
I'm sure it'll being played in the hallways.
Oh, yeah,
I think
probably.
so, as a legacy game.
Yeah, we'll at night we'll just walk around and try to find a group. Hey, you playing the legacy version?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll
hop in. Yeah.
Right.
The next game I'm going to talk about is a game we also have talked about, Nyctophobia. It's the game where you wear the darkened glasses so you can't see the board. One person's playing basically the vampire, and he is basically also like the moderator. So he's going to take your hand and put it on the piece, and you get to move around by feeling the board and talking to your other players to try to figure out where they're at and do things and whatever the scenario is. I don't know if I'm going to be able to split in two and pick up this and Gizmos. So I think I might go with Gizmos because I feel like I would play that more. Only because this game is I don't know if I'm going to get it to the table quite often.
Right.
It's definitely a game I think you played a few times. You're like, okay, let's move on from this. I like to see things.
Right.
But the experience is very, very fun.
Don't play it when you're tired.
Well, I get you fall asleep.
Yeah. Basically playing with your eyes closed.
Right.
My next game is Tower of Madness by Smirk and Dagger. It is a kind of like Kerplunk, I guess, but with Cthulhu tentacles. I think there's 30 of them stuck in this big tower. I believe you're trying to get certain marbles to fall that will give you new characteristics and traits for your character. But there's also some doom marbles that you don't want to fall, and if so many of them drop, then you summon Cthulhu, and he probably kills everybody.
Yeah, there's like 3 doom marbles in there. If any one of them drops, ends the game. Cthulhu comes out and eats everybody.
There's also bad marbles that give you insanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's good marbles that give you like items and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Matt's been looking forward to this for a while now.
Yeah, probably 2 years. I think they talked about this one. So
yeah, but I think at Origins he had a finished version of it.
Yes.
So I think
it looked nice. Legit. So I'm interested in definitely trying it out.
Yeah. Sweet.
So for the next game for me is Werewolves Deluxe. We played Werewolves, I believe, last GenCon and. Was when it kind of debuted. Awesome game. So it's
I think we played it last Origins actually.
Was it Origins?
Not the one that just passed, but the one before that.
Right. Okay.
Right. Because we played it at Origins, like with Jason. He had it. We played it in that little like lobby area.
Yes, it was in the little lobby area
where we tried to record the podcast and it didn't work.
Yes. Oh, you know what? It was Origins. Yes.
So in this game, you have one person that knows this the secret word, basically, or a magic word, and everybody else is trying to guess it. But you have like the werewolf; he knows the magic word as well, and he's trying to kind of get you off the path to get to that word. You have a seer that knows the word, and they're trying to get you to that word. And you have I forgot the timeline you have to do this in. But there's an app that keeps track of all that. You're either giving out, yes or no. I think there's a maybe. But this is a deluxe version of it. And yeah, this is definitely one that I'm interested in picking up.
I'm actually surprised you don't have werewords anyway.
I've almost picked it up so many times, but I knew this was coming out, so I wanted to kind of hold off until the deluxe version came out.
That's fair. I have a game here called Detective, a modern crime board game. Modern crime board game. It's by Portal Games. Basically, this is a game where it has 5 different cases in it. It's fully cooperative, right? So I know Matt's kind of like meh. But check this out, Matt. I'm usually meh on cooperative games. This sounds absolutely ridiculous. So the game, there's a board and you move around and stuff like that to the different areas. But most of the game is going to have you looking online. They've got a fake database website that you go to like look up as a police officer.
What in the world?
That's awesome.
You literally feel like you're a detective at a police station. You'll bring
Looking
up
up
like
stuff.
license plates. You'll look into the database for like maybe a wrecked vehicle.
Do we have to do paperwork too?
Kind of.
I mean,
Yeah.
Crime reports.
crime reports.
From my understanding, each player has like a different role. Like one person's doing a lot of research, the other person's like doing a lot of stuff with the physical components, and you start kind of doing the mapping everything out. Like it'll link you to real articles that you may need to
really?
read. Yeah. The cool thing is, it sounds like there are like icons next to things that you should look up, and there's icons next to things that you can look up that might be interesting and help you with the case, but it's not necessary.
Right.
But yeah, they got like a fake database where you can go in there and look up like crime scene reports or pictures of the evidence and stuff like that, or you can even look up like news articles and clippings.
So this is really like a kind of a cross between, I don't know, a board game and some video game kind of aspect.
Right,
Since you're using a computer.
From my understanding, I mean, like Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm. It has like a phone book and
It
other
comes with everything
newspaper.
that you use.
Right. You use it in the box.
Yeah. This game is literally, it comes in components and stuff, but a lot of it is using the internet and looking stuff up or watching small videos. And, well, maybe not videos. I don't know if it says that, but it says it has puzzle solving and card-based stuff. And I don't know. It just sounds awesome. The fact that they made an entire database where you can look up like mug shots and people's statistics and
Right.
car crash and evidence. Oh man, that sounds awesome. I might pick this one up.
That sounds neat. My next game is called Dead Man's Doubloons. It's from Thundergriff Games. Essentially, it is a quick game. They put a 45-minute tag on it, so it's sounds like it'll be very chaotic and fast. But essentially, I think it just starts off where everybody is on boats. You're pirates. Everybody just starts shooting at each other. And in the meantime, you're trying to get the land where you can drop off land teams to run around and try and find hidden treasure that you're either trying to find pieces of the map, or maybe you get pieces of the map in another way to locate the buried treasure a little bit better than that. But essentially, once you complete that objective, then there's like one last battle. I think everybody shoots it out and all this stuff. So sounds chaotic and crazy. 45 minutes, short time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Crazy pirates.
Yep. So next game for me, Blue Orange, King Domino Age of Giants. So it's an expansion that you can actually use with either King Domino or Queen Domino.
Oh.
It does add a fifth player, which is pretty nice.
Are you keeping both?
At the moment, yeah, I'm keeping both.
Okay.
It has these giant tiles and giants to the game, and also even better is probably these challenge tiles. So I think you flip out 2 tiles, and it's kind of end game scoring tiles. You know, besides one variant that kind of comes in King Domino, where if you have it centered, you get 10 more points.
Right.
I think one of them is even that. So, but these giants, I'm not sure how I would like the giants, because they're kind of like hot potatoes. They go and cover up. If you take a giant tile, you cover up one of your crowns. You can take these giant footstep tiles and kind of hot potato your giant and give it to someone else. So I'm not sure about that aspect, but the fifth player and the challenge tiles should be pretty nice. And it also comes with a thing that you put all your tiles in. That looks pretty cool.
Hopefully it fits in the box.
It fits in the Queen Domino box. I'm not sure if it fits in the King Domino box.
Why don't they just make the expansion big enough to hold everything
Everything
from
in it.
all 3 of them?
There you go. They'll probably come out with it.
Maybe. Next game I have is Smiths of Winter Forge by Rule and Make Games. Basically, easiest way to describe this is it's not really worker placement, but basically you have a board where you start off in the middle and you can move to the 4 corners, but when you're at a corner, then you move around the board, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the corners do different things. You can buy these resources. You're going to use those resources to complete contracts, which you can get more contracts from one of the other directions. You can get special dudes that'll give you special powers, or you can go get loans from the bank because you might need money to pay for those resources. The way the game pretty much works out is you're running around collecting resources, doing stuff to be able to complete contracts. The contracts require you to have certain resources to be able to fulfill it, but then you're actually going to roll dice to get a certain number to complete it. It has different dice. I mean, it has like 4-sided all the way up to, it looks like 12-sided. I don't think it has a 20-sided. I don't see anyway. So you're going to collect resources, and I guess they're going to give you the different dice to roll against this thing. I don't know. That part sounds kind of random, but it looks amazing. It looks really cool. It looks simple, but man, it's gorgeous looking. So I totally put it on there specifically because it looks and the gameplay sounds pretty interesting. I don't know if it's going to be the greatest game, but I'm looking forward to playing it for sure.
My next game is called Lock Up, a role player tale. This is by the people who did Role Player, Thunderworks Games. They have a worker placement game coming out where essentially I think you can play as one of the factions of either kobolds or gnolls or goblins or something or another. But essentially you've been locked up, so why not make the best of your time while you're in jail and try and run it from the inside? So essentially your worker placement and everything is you trying to like coerce guards. You've got secret little workshops set up here and there. You're trying to get other people to join into your gangs and all this. The only thing, sad thing I just saw was this is demo only. I thought this was coming out, but it will be for demo. It sounds really fun and almost kind of cute like, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
That sounds neat. I like the concept.
Yeah.
So for me, if you have Gloomhaven, they are coming out with an expansion called Forgotten Circles. 20 new scenarios if you've completed your 100 scenarios in the base box. There's more character classes, 7 new monster types, and 14 new items. So if you want more...
Are you going to buy this before we start the game and just go ahead and add it in?
Nah, this will be buy for later kind of thing. We got to start our Gloomhaven first.
Next game I have is a game we talked about slightly on our Origins thing. It's Before There Were Stars by Smirk and Laughter Games. And it's essentially a storytelling game where you get, like, I guess, a beginning, middle, and an end. And you kind of tell a story of how it goes. And some of these stories sound like they can go serious. Like not serious, but like campfire serious. Like kind of telling a neat story. Mm-hmm. You can be funny about it, I guess. And the way the voting system works is it kind of rewards... You can reward somebody just for a cool moment, not because they were funny.
Right.
You can reward them.
I'd like that moment in your story.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 1 point or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm totally buying this so we can straight up play it live on the podcast.
And I'm not looking forward to this.
It's gonna be great.
No, we did kind of preview it. I'm not sure if it was on sale at Origins.
It wasn't. No.
Okay, but it did look pretty nice and it looked pretty interesting. So I am kind of looking forward to it, even though it's not my favorite type of game.
I'm just not looking forward to it because I'm not good at things like that on the fly.
The more we do it, though, the better it's going to get. Well, you know what? We'll play it before we play it live.
That's fine.
All right.
Or we could just throw me in the fire.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I'm fine with that.
Some of the coolest stuff come out of that.
Next game I got is called Most Wanted. It is from North Star Games. Really, it kind of just describes itself as like a poker and bluffing game. But the line that reeled me in was, let me see this quote here. It does for poker what King of Tokyo did with Yahtzee. So that kind of sold me.
Yeah, right.
That right there.
You almost don't even know. Matt doesn't even know anything else.
Yeah. So whenever I read that line, I was like, you got me. So I will run by and check this game out for sure.
Who's it by again?
North Star Games.
Oh, okay, cool.
People who do Evolution and do they do
Wits and Wagers?
Wits and Wagers, yeah.
And Happy Salmon.
Happy Salmon, that was the one I was trying to think of.
And the new one,
the chicken game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I think kid version of it or something.
I got both versions of Happy Salmon, so we can play 12 players. Mm-hmm. I think I'm okay with that.
Next game for me is from Days of Wonder. It's Ticket to Ride New York. It's actually a scaled down version of Ticket to Ride. It only lasts about 15 minutes. You're not using trains. You're using cabs.
You know what's
in
funny?
Manhattan. Yeah, what?
I totally saw some information on this game before the Kickstarter preview, before the GenCon preview thing, I was like, this looks great.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be their new demo set. Like when people come to like GenCon or Origins or whatever, or even to like a local gaming shop, this is the version they're going to show them instead of the full version of Ticket to Ride.
Oh, really?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. It's only 15 minutes long, and that's I do want to try it because a lot of games, you don't have enough game time in it to be a good game in 15 minutes a lot of times. So if they made a good game and it only takes 15 minutes, I'm kind of interested in that.
It's still 4 players, right?
I believe so.
Gotcha. Next, I'm going to combine 2 things. One, it's for Luxor, which we've talked about on the podcast. I've done a review. It's on the Dice Tower. Luxor is basically a game where you're going deeper into this, I guess, a pyramid or an ancient tomb, Egyptian tomb, to get to the center. You're collecting things on the way, etc. The biggest thing about it is you have a hand of cards, and you can only play the one on the left and right. You have 5 cards. Each time you play a card, you're going to move one of your guys, complete an action of that space. You'll get a new card that goes in the middle of your hand. So as you play, your actions are going to get shuffled out to the left and right. You can see how that goes. If you're interested more in that game, it is going to be released at GenCon, but you can check out plenty of info on it online. But the biggest part about this are the 4 Queenies that Queen Games have coming out. If you're not familiar with what Queenies are, it's a silly name, but basically it's very small expansions for their games.
Mini expansions.
Almost like promos more so than actual expansions.
Right.
Because it might be a sheet that has like 5 punch things
Tiles
on it or whatever. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about all 4 of them really quickly. The first one is the Swarm of Scarabs. In the game, you can collect scarabs, which are face-down tokens, and they're worth victory points equal to a range. They might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever. At the end of the game, you don't reveal them until then. But this one is going to give you a bunch. It's going to give you 15 new scarabs to add into it, and they have actions on them. So rather than them just being victory points at the end of the game, you can play them. Like, for instance, one of you can play, and it allows you to play any card from your hand. Did you look any of these up or just kind of put them on there?
No, I just just seeing that they had them on there.
Fair enough. So this is going to be really cool.
Nice.
That's a cool special ability.
Right.
Some of them allow you to disregard the card that you played, so you still have to play a card as a primary, but then you play this token to instead do this action, such as like move one of your adventurers to your following adventurer. So it's kind of like the catch-up one.
Right. But not necessarily your last one.
Right. It's just one of them to the next one. Or you can use one of the cards from the top Horus cards. Like, the ones that you get that are better versions of the cards. There's a 1-eye, a 2-eye, and a 3-eye. You can discard that token to allow you to play one of those. You don't actually play that card. It just like mimics it for the card that you discarded.
Gotcha.
So some cool special abilities there. The next one I think is by far my favorite. It's called the Snake God's Boon. It comes with, I believe, 4 tiles. Remember in the game where there are 4 spaces that when you land on it, it projects you a couple of spaces ahead? It just like...
move up 3.
Yeah. It replaces all those, and these are used instead. And basically, as long as you have an adventurer on that tile, you gain a permanent special ability.
Interesting.
But those spaces are always worth 0 points. So
Right.
you obviously need to move him off later on. Or even move him off later on to complete harder little tiles. Yeah. Like, for instance, this one, you can play any card but the middle card in your hand. So it basically allows you to play the 2 left and 2 right. Or this one, place the drawn card anywhere in your hand. So after you play your card, you draw a new card, you can put it where you want. Or disregard the card that you played to move a guy 1 to 3 spaces.
That's pretty nice because it also changes up the game for you if you played it quite a few times.
Yes. So it's got some cool stuff there. The third one are secret missions. You get one of them, and as you collect one of your other guys, as you go deeper, you get an additional one. And they basically allow you, they're face down for you, no one else knows what you have, but you discard certain components to finish them, like keys or scarabs and things like that, and they're worth victory points. I like this specifically because it gives you a reason to ditch keys. Because for the most part, keys I think are like the weakest thing to get unless you're going first or getting
to the end first. Yeah, they're worth 1 VP.
Yeah, so there's no reason to collect them otherwise because scarabs are almost always worth more points.
I think scarabs are like 1 to 3.
Something like that. I don't remember the actual layout, but anyway, it gives you a reason to collect them and then turn them in for these secret missions. I thought that was cool. There's 16 of those missions. And the last one is the treasure chamber. This is probably the biggest one, I think, or at least the most gameplay enhancing one. For the most part, I think it said the 4 corners of the board. Now, once that tile's been collected, when you go there, you can basically teleport to this treasure chamber that's like 6 spaces long, and there's going to be treasures randomly on those spaces.
Oh.
All those spaces are worth 0 points at the end of the game, so you do need to get in there and leave.
Right.
But you can go in there and collect new treasures and stuff. So it comes with 12 sarcophagi, 4 entrance tiles, 6 chamber tiles, and 1 treasure chamber board. Point is, though, if you buy all 4 of those, that's pretty much an expansion.
Oh, like each one of them's it is a mini expansion, I guess, but yeah, I mean,
there's enough there to be like
out.
Yeah.
Right.
Out of all, when you add all 4 of those together, I think it's going to be it's like a lighter expansion, but it's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's Luxor and its Queenies.
My next game is my little side from
So
Stonemaier
cute.
Games. It looks cute. It's popularized by a print and play version, I think, that someone made. And so I would assume it's going to be a little bit lighter than regular Scythe. But it interests me because it'll probably be a little bit heavier, but I'm interested to see how it is. I guess I could really look up and see how it is because it's...
Tom reviewed this one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gotten amazing reviews. I think it would work well with you and your family.
Right. That's what I'm looking forward to because just it'll be a little bit deeper. They're getting a little bit older, so try and take another step with it.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game for me is from Next Move Games. It's called Reef. It's a pattern building abstract game where you're building your reef, and you're getting these cards, and to score them, you're going to play them. It's going to allow you to put down additional reef attachments to enlarge your reef. But you are scoring depending on what's on the card. You know, it might be saying for every yellow around this red, or your tallest red, you're going to score a point. So we played it at Origins. It was a great game. So looking to, pick it up. Or Tim, I think, said he was going to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get this game. Emerson is amazing. Everything he's designed so far is great.
Yeah.
And this game is no exception. I mean, it's super good. It comes with thick, chunky components.
Mm-hmm.
Probably unnecessarily chunky.
Yeah, probably so.
But next game for me is called The Potion. And this is a small game. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes. This is probably one of the only games on this list I'm kind of like, I really want to play it before I buy it. Because if I play it, I may not buy it. It's really weird to preview it like this because I'm excited about it. But once I read the rulebook, because it is available, I was like, I don't know. It seems like it could be fun.
Could go either way.
But it could go either way, yeah.
Right.
Basically, it comes with 3 dice and a bunch of cardboard shits. And the dice actually have different symbols on them. Like there's 3 different types of ingredients that you're going to use for this potion. There's mushrooms, there's cockroaches, and there's little potion bottles. Each player is going to start with 2 of each of these tokens. One person's going to roll the 3 dice, and then everybody's going to choose one of their tokens and put in their fist and put it out in the middle of the table and reveal it. If enough players, like say for instance the die roll was a die that had 3 cockroaches, 1 die had a mushroom, and another die had 2 potions. If you, as a team, it's a competitive game, but as a group, if you reveal enough cockroaches to equal the exact amount of cockroaches shown, then everybody gets to discard that token back into the potion bottle, which is literally a potion bottle. It looks like a pill bottle for vitamins, like those big vitamin bottles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the game looks like it comes in. I'm not sure I'm excited about that.
No, I'm not excited about that at all.
Yeah. But otherwise, if you don't reveal, I think there's 3 ways. There's like, if an exact match happens, those players get to remove that ingredient. If you don't match, nothing happens. You don't get to remove anything. If no one else gets to throw anything away and you chose a symbol that doesn't show up or something, then you get to get rid of it. So it's kind of like this weird pressure luck thing. She's like, who's going for this one? Whatever. That's what I'm saying. It could go either way. As soon as somebody only has one type of ingredient left, they win the game. So I don't know. I'm so on the fence with this one. I have to play it, but it could be fun.
Right.
My next game is called Ruby. It's RWBY. This, unfortunately, would just be a demo, but it's a co-op game, which I know we kind of mentioned. I'm not too big on co-op games, but my kids are, they like this IP a whole lot, and I'm interested to see what Arcane Wonders will do with an IP. I think this might be the one they've kind of ever dealt with. I could be wrong on that, but I can't think of another one that they've had.
I think this is the only licensed IP, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I'm just more or less interested to see what they do having a license. I'm sure they'll do fine, so we'll see. But if you're familiar with the show, you can play as one of the four ladies that predominantly revolves around, and you're co-oping battles against some of the familiar faces that are villains in the show. So see how
Sweet.
it goes.
I'm looking forward to trying this one out.
Yeah.
Next one for me is from Ravensburger, which I don't really look out for those games very much, but they have a game called Woodlands out. It's a fairy tale based kind of game. It's a real time tile laying game. So in the middle of the table, you're gonna put out this sheet, and it's see through. It's gonna have if you're playing Red Riding Hood, she's gonna be on there. There's all these other tiles, and there might be a wolf or whatnot. So you want to get her to this exit or a house, and you're trying to get these other tiles that give you points. Don't hit these other tiles that will reduce points to you, and if you hit the wolf, you get -3 points. So everybody's going real time, making up their board. After that, you place this on top of your sheet, see how you did. I think it'll be pretty good with kids, families. So looking forward to seeing if it's something that might interest my family.
It's weird. Ravensburger has a lot of good games, but they don't have like a lot of amazing
Great games.
Yeah, so I look forward to playing their games when we have them, but I don't seek them out.
Right.
So next game I have is The Big Score by Van Ryder Games. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to playing this. There is one concern I have though, but maybe it'll be addressed once we play it. Basically, the first half of the game or most of the game, you're going to be drafting these. You're basically robbing banks and stuff like that. But before you get to the big score, or what's it called? Yeah, the big score, which is robbing the bank. You got to do all these little jobs, like breaking into different other places, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to draft a bunch of guys, kind of like, normal drafting process. There's 6 different types of guys. They're basically just colors. And then you're going to try to, there's like different things that you're going to rob in the middle of the table. Like say, for instance, it requires you to have 2 of this guy, 2 of this guy, and 1 of this other dude, right? Well, once you've drafted all these guys, you put them face down in different piles, and you assign a number to those different piles based on the locations in the middle of the table. So those locations are going to have a number on them as well. And so you're saying this group of guys is going to go to location 1, but no one else knows which group you're sending where, because they can't see the number on the back of your token that you're assigning that group to, right? So you're like, he's sending 3 guys out to a location. Which one's he sending them out to? Everybody does this at the same time after the drafting, and then we all reveal, like, okay, who sent everybody to location 1? Everybody reveals those cards, and then you see if you completed that mission. If you did, then all those players who went there actually split up the cash.
Huh.
If it's not completed, it fails. Everybody's got like a Joker token that they can play, but everybody only has 1. And so, like, once you spend it, it's gone. So it becomes we only need 1 dude. Everybody put your fist out in the middle of the table. Hopefully Eric's spending his, and I don't need to spend mine. You're spending yours, right, Eric? Then we reveal, and then nobody's played it, so then we lose that whole thing. Kind of deal. You play, I think, 3 or 4 rounds of this. I can't remember. And then you go on to the big score. Every bit of that gets shoved to the side, which is where the concern comes from. I'm like, this is interesting. It's almost like 2 games.
Mm-hmm. You're getting ready for the big heist.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure if you bring anything with you at this point.
Oh, really?
And
all right.
Like
maybe,
it resets or something.
Yeah, it's almost like it's 2 separate games, and then you just add up your scores from both, and whoever has the most money wins.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's different. I don't know. Either way, in the big score, you actually have this big 3D bank that you're going to do a heist on. And so it's got all these tokens inside of it. And then everybody takes turns moving their hand in, pulling a token out, and keep it in their fist. The caveat is, though, you don't have to put one in your hand. You can bluff.
And not pull out anything.
Yeah, once everybody pulls out a token or doesn't, everybody's got their fist, you reveal. You get to keep what you collected. If anybody pulled a police token, you put it off to the side on this other board. Depending on the number of players, once so many police tokens, I think it's almost like it's 1 per player. So if you're playing 3 players, if you get 3 police tokens, whoever is still in the vault stealing stuff gets arrested. And I don't think they can win the game at that point. Otherwise, at any point, you can choose not to grab a tile. And when you reveal your hand and you have nothing, you leave the vault. And so you've collected the tokens you wanted to. Then I think you add up all your scores from the previous game or whatever, and then that game, and then whoever has the most wins.
Interesting.
It sounds really fun.
Right.
So.
My next game is called Guildmaster. This game will just be for demo also, but it's by Good Games Publishing. Essentially, you run a guild. You're going to try and build guilds up. You're going to do things for other, I guess, I don't know if it's like mercenaries or whatever, but you have a guild and you're trying to do things in the land and this and that. The thing I like about it is that each turn or each round, everyone puts their, I think you pick your actions at the same time. And then I assume it's probably whoever's first player gets to kind of sequentially pick which ones are going. So that sounds like fun. So Guildmaster.
Awesome. So for me, Renegade Games is coming out with a reprint with a game that is out of print right now. It is Arboretum. I think I said that right.
Yes.
Anyway, so on this game, you are kind of like building little trees or whatnot. Each tree has, and they're different colors. I think they range from 1 through 10. And you're trying to get as much on the board to get points, but you have to keep enough in your hand to win that set. So whoever has, at the end of the game, whoever has the most points in the orange tree will get to score orange, and that's depending on what you have down. So I know this has been out of print for a little while. A lot of people are excited to get it, and it looks like they did a good job with the reprint.
Yeah, I liked Arboretum. It was all right.
Yeah.
Maybe the second edition looks like it changed up the artwork a little bit, too.
Yeah, it changes up the artwork. I don't think it changed up the game any, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, I don't think it needed to be changed. Or, I mean, I think I said one thing, but I don't think it actually needed to be changed.
Yeah.
Next game for me is Choose Your Own Adventure, House of Danger by Z-Man Games. It's exactly what you think it is. It is a card-driven game based off the Choose Your Own Adventure books. So you flip out cards, you read a little story, it sets the mood. You go, like, this is House of Danger, you're going into this house to figure out what's going on, I guess. You flip out cards, it's like, what action do you want to do, this or this? And then you go to that card, etc., etc. You can die, you can reset the game, all that stuff. It says 60 minutes, and I think that it has like 5 games or 5 chapters to it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's 60 minutes. I doubt it's 60 minutes each. It's probably at least 60 minutes per chapter.
Right.
So, but it is like a kind of like a solo playthrough, I guess. You know, like once you play through it, you kind of know the story and what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Like Time Stories.
Kind of like Time Stories, but they said it's a lot easier and more straightforward than Time Stories. There's not many puzzle aspect. It's mostly just making decisions.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, especially if it's a good price range.
My last game is Coimbra by Eggertspiel. I think you guys said this game's getting a lot of buzz, but the thing that grabbed my attention with it was you're drafting dice and the fact that the dice can have multiple functions, I guess. So I mean that's always good to go with. The write-up didn't tell me much more than that, and maybe I could have watched a video before I talked about it, but that's what I liked about it. So
That's fair. All I know is it made a massive splash at Origins, but by the time everybody figured it out, it was already sold out.
gotcha.
Right.
So I'm looking forward. I might actually try to buy this.
At least try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good enough to just straight buy
Just
this
to
one.
straight buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't need to try it out.
Yeah.
All right, last one for me is actually another reprint. It is from WizKids. They're doing, I guess it's the 4th edition, Fury of Dracula. Played this recently. It's a pretty awesome game. One person plays Dracula. Depending on the player count, there's 4 other hunters that are going around trying to figure out where Dracula is, battle him, and kill him off. But in this reprint, they're using bigger cards. And they have bigger minis and they're pre-painted, so I might have to upgrade my copy to this one. So,
Oh, if you upgrade your copy, I know somebody who might want the other one.
oh yeah,
Like, I don't think there's enough difference for me to like go after either or.
mm-hmm.
Just whichever one's cheaper,
Right,
because I can paint my own minis.
yeah,
But anyway, last game for me is a surprise that I even put it on this list. I'm not saying I hate the original game, but it's Boss Monster: Rise of the Mini Bosses.
mm-hmm.
Boss Monster came out. It was my second Kickstarter, I believe. I liked it. It was really fun. I played it dozens
Tons
of
of
times.
times,
Yeah.
yeah.
I even played it 13 times in one day. I got paid to do it at work, but I did. Anyway, but as I played it, I realized, like, you know, it's good. It's not amazing. I think it's really, really in the realm of a lot of people's type of game. So
Oh, yeah.
it's done really well, and I'm glad for them. And then they came out with Boss Monster 2. I was like, man, it's the same thing. It's got a little bit of things I like about it. But this one adds a lot to it. One, it adds these mini bosses that you can put into a room. So when you get them out of the deck or whatever, you can attach them to a room.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like levels to them that you can make them stronger.
Level them up.
Yeah, and you level them up using coins. So the game has this coin mechanism added to it now that you can, when you cast spells, you might gain coins. When you play certain rooms, it might generate coins for you. And you're using these coins to manipulate a lot of things. Like, you can spend some of the coins to actually manipulate the heroes coming into your dungeon and like lower their attack, like their health and things like that, or other things like this. Like, I think that one of them was like, basically you pay X coins to lower his difficulty by X. Like your mini boss, you can spend coins on them to level them up, and I think there's 3 ranks to each of them. There's some coins that you might need, I believe, for some of the boss monster abilities and some of the spells and things like that. So it adds like a currency to the game, and I think that's another level, and it's in a step in the right direction.
Right.
It's able to be shuffled in with the other versions. I think it would dilute it. I don't see that being good.
If you put too many versions together.
Yeah, kind of like diluting Ascension. Like one of the newer Ascension sets came with a third currency. If you put it in the old sets that didn't have any of those cards, now that currency is really hard to come across.
Or
Right.
in some of the action words.
And some of the action words, yeah. So I think here it's like you might dilute it too much by including it into the other expansions, but standalone, and it's only $25. I mean, they're rocking it. So
They
anyway,
give out lots of promos.
they got lots of promos. I bet they got promos for this one. So anyway, that's Boss Monster, and I think that's the end of our GenCon 2018 preview. There are over 500 games so far on that list. We only covered like 40 of them. So check it out if you got time. And anyway, we're gonna move on to our next topic, which is